Bryan Freedman, Justin Baldoni's attorney, has just shot back at Blake Lively's motion to dismiss. Blake is abusing the legal system. 3 exclamation points. Bryan Freedman tells TMZ Ms. Lively's recent motion to dismiss herself from the self-concocted disaster.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit. It's all going to be based on evidence. It's not going to be just a lawsuit. It's going to be the kind of lawsuit that is full of evidence, admissions, documents, which prove exactly what she did.
So it turns out Hollywood isn't just about glitz, glam, and overpriced lattes. It's also about lawsuits, settlements, and of course, a little bit of celebrity arm twisting. Enter Bryan Freedman, the attorney known for handling high-profile cases, and now he's in the middle of a legal tug-of-war that somehow involves Blake Lively. Because obviously, when it comes to legal battles, Hollywood A-listers have their own dramatic flair.
Because actually, Blake Lively's publicist, Leslie Sloan, was planting stories negative to Justin. And all Justin wanted to do, and it's all through the text messages. If the New York Times apparently reviewed 1,000 or more pages of text messages, they would have seen it. Justin never wanted to hurt her, never wanted to be negative to her. He wanted to protect the film, he wanted to protect himself, and he wanted to protect her from making negative allegations about him that were made up and that are proven in this case, and how she bullied her way through the process to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin. There's a number of different defendants here. Stephanie Jones will be all over this complaint. That is the PR agent who was supposed to be working for Justin Baldoni. Leslie Sloan, who's another PR agent who will be part of this lawsuit. That was Blake Lively's. Blake Lively will be sued, and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also. Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
Now, one might think lawsuits are settled with rational discussions, fair agreements, and a nice handshake. But no, this is Hollywood, where a simple dispute turns into a power play. And apparently, Blake Lively isn't just sitting back and letting the legal system do its thing. Oh no, she's making moves. And according to Freedman, she's doing everything in her power to push for a settlement. Whether that means pressure, persuasion, or good old-fashioned celebrity influence. Well, let's just say this case is turning into a must-watch drama.
What they did was they worked with the New York Times. Her publicist worked directly with the New York Times. They shared illegally obtained text messages. They shared those together. They concocted a complaint that they filed with the Civil Rights Division. They omitted texts that would have provided context, texts that were in the exact same string that would have provided context of what was really going on. And in fact, they actually removed emojis from texts that show that there was satire and there was joking around by the PR crisis agents. I mean, the PR crisis agent.
Freedman isn't new to high-stakes battles. The man has been in the legal trenches with some of the biggest names in the industry. So if he's saying that Blake Lively is making things difficult for the opposing side, you better believe there's more to the story. Because let's face it, in Hollywood, people don't just ask for things, they make them happen. And if a settlement is on the table, you can bet Lively isn't waiting patiently for the paperwork to process.
She initiated is one of the most abhorrent examples of abusing our legal system. Freedman says stringent rules are put into place to protect the innocent and allow individuals to rightfully defend themselves, while noting laws are not meant to be twisted and curated by privileged elites to fit their own personal agenda. In his statement to TMZ, Freedman reiterated, as we said yesterday in response to Mr. Reynolds' same cowardly measures, we will continue to hold Ms. Lively accountable for her actions of pure malice, which include falsely accusing my clients of harassment and retaliation. Freedman summed it up by saying Blake's fantastical claims will be swiftly debunked as discovery moves forward, easily disproved with actual evidentiary proof.
So what exactly is she doing? Well, if you believe the whispers, she's allegedly applying all sorts of pressure to make sure the case doesn't drag on longer than necessary. And no, that doesn't mean she's throwing legal jargon around in courtrooms, because let's be real, Hollywood stars have people for that. Instead, she's reportedly leveraging her influence in ways that only someone with her level of power can.
Okay, so this is an excerpt from my new favorite book, which is the website that Justin Baldoni published, all about his correspondence with Blake Lively. And this is one of my favorite excerpts with my new favorite Game of Thrones character, Blake Lively. Are you ready for it? And him serving it back to her is just as important. You don't usually see both the man and the woman with such agency and humor. Anyway, I can act it out for you next week to make sure it comes through. Or I can send it now. Let me know what you prefer. XX. To which Justin Baldoni responded, "Sorry, I was just crying my eyes out as kids and family just left for another 5 weeks and it was a shit show. Heart emoji, heart emoji, heart emoji."
Think about it. When an A-lister wants something, they don't just request it. They get their team, their connections, and sometimes even the media to nudge things in the right direction. And if there's one thing that Hollywood hates more than a dragged-out lawsuit, it's bad press. So if Blake Lively is pushing for a settlement, it's not hard to imagine that certain narratives are being shaped behind the scenes. Now, let's talk about Bryan Freedman's position in all of this. The guy is no stranger to high-profile disputes, and he's certainly not one to back down. But even a legal heavyweight like him knows that when a Hollywood star starts pulling strings, things can get complicated fast. It's one thing to argue a case in court, but it's another to fight against an industry machine that thrives on controlling public perception.
Baldoni's the bad guy. And just to lay it out for the audience in a little bit more detail, what she's claiming is that even though she was a much bigger star than Justin Baldoni, who I never heard of before this lawsuit, she's the much bigger star, and she's married to an even bigger star than she is, Ryan Reynolds, that she came in and onto this project and started to get harassed and mistreated by Justin and some others, and that when she then demanded that all of her concerns be rectified, that he did it, but that he was basically lying in wait for when the film would get released in case she went public with what happened, that he and his PR team determined to bury her, to ruin her, and that this wave of bad press we did see about Blake Lively when the film came out this past summer was not organic. It was totally orchestrated by Justin and his team.
Because, let's be honest, public perception is everything in this town. And if Lively wants a settlement, it's not just about the legal details, it's about making sure the right version of events gets out there. Whether that means using the press, strategically timed statements, or just knowing the right people to talk to, it's all part of the game. And here's the kicker. Settlements aren't always about guilt or innocence. Sometimes they're just about making problems disappear.
Blake Lively writes, "I can send you my pass at the roof, or just read with you when we get together next week. Let me know what you prefer, smiley face. If you knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of just how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth."
In Hollywood, where reputations are worth millions, the faster a scandal or lawsuit is wrapped up, the better. If dragging things out risks making headlines that no one wants, then a settlement suddenly becomes the most attractive option. And if Lively is making sure that's the direction this case is heading, well, she's clearly not taking no for an answer.
I'd like to apologize to Justin Baldoni because he treated me well and did nothing wrong, and I allowed him to sit in a basement with his family because I was starstruck by Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, that Blake Lively was the aggressor in this now epic showdown. Was it right after was it when Baldoni dropped the countersuit? Was it when Bryan Freedman put up the website with the 170 pages and all the text? Or was it right away when the Times wrote?
Right away. I've always had an intuition about her, and I've always had an intuition about Taylor Swift and like the branding of the nice girl stuff. And something just didn't. I went through Justin Baldoni's Instagram, and he just seemed like a puppy. And I read it just didn't add up to me that this guy was secretly just dying to talk about pornography all the time and talk about his porn addiction and wanted her to look at pornography. I'm going, this is not the Instagram feed I'm looking through. And I went back years.
Now, you might be wondering, why does Lively even care so much? What's in it for her? Well, the answer is pretty simple: control. Hollywood stars like to control the narrative, and drawn-out legal battles are the exact opposite of that. The longer things go on, the more details start slipping out, and the more unpredictable things get. And if there's one thing celebrities hate, it's unpredictability. Freedman, on the other hand, is probably weighing his options carefully. He knows how these things work. He knows when to push back and when to let things play out. But if Lively is determined to speed things up, then he's dealing with more than just legal arguments. He's dealing with a Hollywood power move.
They actually did it is far less fruitful, right? The text about like, we could, here's what we might do if we need to, those are everywhere. The text proving they did, far less ubiquitous in this complaint. And what you've said now in your lawsuit against the Times is, don't even believe the texts that you see in the Lively lawsuit, because they're seriously misrepresented, omitting major facts that would give them an entirely different meaning, never mind greater context. And that's where I want to bring you in.
And let's not forget the other side of this case. They might not have the star power that Lively does, but they certainly have something to lose. If they're resisting a settlement, it's likely because they believe they have a strong enough case to go all the way. Or maybe, just maybe, they know that holding out could get them a bigger payout. Because at the end of the day, lawsuits in Hollywood aren't just about justice. They're about leverage.
It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
I think Ryan Reynolds has a few secrets in the closet too that they don't want people to be taking a look at, and it's going to destroy these people. That's why they wanted this attorney's eyes only privilege. And basically we can say anything, the public can't see it, just the attorneys. It was kind of a radical thing to want, and they were arguing that, careers could be ruined. Well, what could be ruined? You might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud in terms of how you're presenting yourself to the public and who you are in private. And so that kind of a desperate sort of a pleading, which was to do something that was abnormal and file for this attorney eyes only, which they didn't give them. He kind of half-weighted and said according to medical records, which is self-explanatory. But that lets me know that they're scared, and they're not going to admit that until they lose the dismissals. And then I think they're going to want to settle.
So where does this leave everything? Well, for now, it's a waiting game. But if Freedman is making it clear that Lively is pushing hard for a resolution, then it's safe to say that this legal drama won't be dragging on for much longer. One way or another, someone is going to fold. And if Lively has anything to say about it, it won't be her. Because in Hollywood, it's not just about who's right or wrong. It's about who has the most power to shape the outcome. And if Lively is forcing a settlement, it's not because she's hoping for the best. It's because she knows how to make things go her way.